Just for the record, could you state and spell your full name?
Yes, my name is Harry Noble. That's spelled N-O-B-L-E.
My name is Charles George Moore.
Frank D. Brown, that's B-R-O-W-N.
Leo Arthur Farrow.
Phil Jones, Philip F. if you want.
Common spelling?
Philip F. Jones.
My first name is Cyril, C-Y-R-I-L, middle initial is J for John, last name is O'Brien, O''B-R-I-E-N.
What's your date and place of birth?
January 30, 1919, in St. John's, ''S, Newfoundland, Canada.
I was born New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1923.
Where?
And I was born in Astoria, Queens, which is on Long Island, New York.
My date and place of birth was September 30th, 1924, in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, 1923, April 8th.
New York City,
And what was the date of birth?
March the 8th, 1922.
January 17, 1920,
Where were you born?
Boston.
Is that where you grew up?
No, I grew up in Los Angeles area. We came out there when I was a very small child.
So, could you take us back to W Day morning and take us through the process of getting off the ship, getting ready to go ashore and coming ashore?
As I recall, they had numbers or something that we knew when they called that particular signal to us. That was the signal for us to leave our quarters and go up on deck and go to the prearranged location where we were supposed to go. And that happened with us. We weren't the first troops in, but we probably came in about an hour after the first ones. And when our signal was given, we went up on deck and went down the rope ladder into the boats down there. And I think we transferred at some point out there in the water from them to the little tracked vehicles, which were amphibian also. As I recall, the driver of the, or helmsman or whatever it was of the vehicle was saying something to the effect that he thought it was real light opposition, nothing to worry about. And about that time there was a huge swoosh right down in front of us, and a mortar shell landed so close that it threw water all over us in the boat. At that time we were all gawking all around, you know, and looking at everything. And after that happened, I looked around, everybody was right down as low as they could get in that vehicle. Later on, I did see one of the landing boats where a mortar shell landed right in the middle of it, and it was just foundering out in the water there, and there was no sign of life in it.
Well, they said it was going to be tough due to the landed beaches, the coral reefs, and the cliffs, the caves, and the jungle growth. They said it was going to be tough.
And you heard firing. There wasn't the firing immediately in front of me, but I heard the rat-tat-tat-tat and the boo-boo-boo-boo, and you heard it all going on, and then a big thump here and a big thump there, but you didn't know where they were coming, but you know sure as hell it was a dangerous place to be. The first thing I wanted to do, but heavens, it looked a long way before there was any green for cover. But there was by the grace of God, there was a big shell hole, and I jumped right down in the shell hole. So along came a man named McCullough. He was something like a traffic controller. He was a fatherly type of a guy who went to people like me and says, "Okay, Obie, you can move up there now, don't worry, and run over here," and on the beach just moving around casually telling people what to do. And what a dangerous thing. He was casually walking around when I was running. Funny thing was, though, obviously he was too casual. He shot him right, just hit him right in the head and killed him. Because, you know, someone saw him from up there, realized that he was a person in some kind of authority, I suppose.
Well, I was in a position to point out, I actually saw a lot of machine gun fire coming out of one of the small caves. And I ran over to the company that I was assigned to in that sector, and I told them where that fire was coming. And I had to fire into it so that they could see exactly the trajectory where the bullets were going, and then they laid in some fire on that. Then there was one incident I remember very readily. There was like a knoll with a small ridge to it, and there was one group of Japanese coming out one side of it, and some of our guys were on the other side of it, and I was yelling over to them, throw a grenade. This was like maybe about 50 yards away or something like that. I tried to tell them that they're coming around to meet you on this side. They don't know, they didn't understand what I was saying. I told them to lob a grenade over. So rather than trying to pick off the Japanese there, the guys that were holding up the fire because they were too close to it, they lobbed a couple of grenades over and they got a hold of them, and then they came around and wiped out that pocket. But it was a thing that was going on all around you. You turn around, they're over that way, you turn around, they're over that way.
Your whole body's kind of tense. And, but I think, at least I felt, and I think most people feel the same way, that if anybody's going to get hit, it's going to be the guy, another guy, you know, and not you. But sometimes it is you.
Anything that moves at night is the enemy. So we sort of hold up and wait. And you could hear a lot of activity all over the place. By the time dawn came, then it was like a shooting gallery. But there was, you had eyes in the back of your head all over the place.
And all of a sudden, this young Chamorro boy, he must have been 8 or 9 years old, came running up the hill that the village was right below where we were camped. And came running up and said, "There's 4 Japanese soldiers in our city, in our village." So everybody grabbed their weapons down the hill. Well, the 3 got away because they could move, but the 4th one only had 1 leg, and he crawled in between 2 buildings, and they pointed him out to us. So we went over and got him. Then they notified headquarters to come down and bring a truck down so we could take him up as a prisoner. And I had this one little Chamorro boy, about 9 or 10. As we were going up the hill, I was on the truck with the Japanese soldier. And I would ask a question, and he would interpret, because he could speak Japanese and I couldn't. And I noticed the questions were always a little longer when he said them than when I said them. We got rid of got the Japanese soldier turned over the MPs, and I asked him, I said, "What were you adding to the questions I was saying?" And he said, "Well, I was just going to tell him I was going to push him off the truck." He said, if I didn't tell him that I was going to push him off the truck.
Not long after that, as we were making our drive up, a very good friend of mine named Joe Mercer was laying telephone lines, and a sniper killed him. And I remember when they brought him down, his eyes were still open. And I'll never forget his blue eyes. And he was a very good friend.
The most beautiful sight I saw, we came out of a wooded area, and the division had set up their headquarters. And there's Old Glory. What a beautiful sight.
and the Stars and Stripes fly again over Guam.